We're there. Hey guys, hold on. We're gonna start up uh, the intro, and then we will actually be live. So this is a pre-show. Ha.
It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness.
Hey everybody, a big thanks to this Travel Bugs for the music on the audio side, and our featured patrons, Captain Howie, Family Gustafson, and if I screw up all these names, hey guys, I'm sorry. Gary and Jesse do a much better job at that. B Mars 7391, Curiosity Girl, Glowworm 77, Kevin's to Betsy, Bounce Bounce, Poan, Three Happy Campers, Team Ewart, and our new patrons, Gas Station Tuna. And returning is Sue's mom, Runner Castor, The Truck, Jay Susel, Jay Hussey, Little Miss Sunshine, Just Finding Our Way, DJW House, AWOL, and Sackishness. If you want to become a patron, click on the Become a Patron link on the front of the Geocache Talk website, or head over to patreon.com/Geocache Talk for more details. Patrons will get the famous Blackout coin and other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content and invites to special events. Only for patrons, support levels start at as little as the Bison level, which is only $3 a month. So let me welcome my co-host, Jeff from Cache Line. How you doing, Jeff? Or I'm sorry, that's Jesse there. So we got Flat Jesse sitting there.
Better get that right. Yes, hello.
So, you doing all right, Jesse?
I'm
Jesse,
doing good.
Jeff?
Yeah, passing time. Sadly, I am not Jesse.
No. They're, in fact, if you're wondering where Jesse and Gary are, we know they've been putting out so much content in the last few weeks since this whole pandemic started that Jeff and I wanted to take over the show and give them a little bit of a break. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're taking a little bit of a break, and so sorry, guys, you're stuck with us tonight, but we're going to be talking something about that we probably know a little bit about right now, and that's the vlogger dilemma. With everything shut down, a lot of us can't go out caching. How are we coping and being able to get this content out to you guys, and so that you guys can enjoy it as well? Yep. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. But we got there's some news that we're going to jump into. So first off, started yesterday, was the Blue Switch Day 2020 souvenir. I didn't actually go caching yesterday. I was working on a lot of stuff here at the house, but I did go get my Blue Switch souvenir today. And that's going to go on through December 31st. So if you don't get it this weekend, you're okay. Were you able to get yours, Jeff?
Yeah, I wasn't able to go yesterday. I was too busy baking a cake, but
yeah, I saw that video.
I did manage to get out today just for a couple nearby, and I haven't logged them yet, so I still got to get that souvenir. But
Okay.
it's one thing to get the souvenir between now and December, but it's another to get it this weekend. This is the weekend that counts.
Yeah. And I know a lot of places they can't get out there and go caching, and that's fine. Or you're not comfortable about going out and caching, and that's fine too. So, I mean, I know seeing like the Geocache challenge of the month this month is to, if you haven't watched the video, go check out Joshua, the geocaching vlogger. There is to create a container. Well, I think I got that one covered for this month. That's pretty much all I've been doing.
It was to create something geocaching related.
Geocaching related, right? Create a container, a trackable, swag,
a cake.
All right.
This is my Geo Challenge entry. Woohoo!
Hey, don't tip it too far. How's that sticking on that plate going on?
Just barely.
Okay. I was afraid that thing was going to fall off onto your computer. So you can do that. Like last month, the Nano Kids was to tell us the story of your favorite geocaching adventure. So that was what theirs was, because a lot of people didn't want to get out there, but as geocachers, we love telling those geocaching stories.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's great to hear them too, like, because you get to hear so many people's different perspectives and experiences, and
I love hearing the stories. Plus, if you're new to an area or you hear about a different cache that you haven't gotten, then it's like, hey, I want to go after that cache. And so hearing the stories is always, that's why we go to events, is to talk and hang out and tell stories. I mean, that's what's really fun about it.
Yeah. And then you can when people have really good cache experiences, then you can add them to your bucket list if you're out there and all that. So it's friendly, but it's also, it guides your geocaching a little bit in the future too.
It does. And of course, in those events, you also get to help out with any clues that you might need or anything like that as well. So those are always fun. And I know because we've been so isolated in this pandemic and everything that we're not able to do those events, but a lot of places are doing Zoom events as well. So you don't get to log it as a fine, but you're still, that community's coming together. And I think that's really awesome, because you were just in one tonight, weren't you, Jeff?
Yep. So Ontario's got this huge community, and our reviewers put together a Zoom meeting for everybody. And I don't know how many people they might eventually get, but when I had to bow out to come here, they were probably around 25 to 30 people active in the video chat. And so they were just doing a lot of Q&A, chatting, catching up, pointing people out and asking some questions and stuff, just, catching up. And if it goes really well, they might do it more in the future as well. Because it's really cool to be able to meet with everybody, even virtually, all across this huge province. Yeah,
so Jinxers, they've been doing some puzzle group meetings a bunch, and those are really cool. We haven't really been doing a lot of that here locally, but I've seen a lot of other groups doing it, and I really like that.
Yep.
So
we've got one of our cachers in Toronto has been putting on a lot of virtual puzzle caching events on Facebook. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of different groups going. I know there's been ones when, like, Cache Advance, they've done some, what is it called? The Mappy or something like that they've been doing, talking about maps and stuff. So they've been a lot of, just another way of the community coming together. And I just think that's really cool. So some other dates that you might not know, real quick, community celebration events, of course. If you have been given one of those community celebration events, which I have, and you have your deadlines now, December 31st of 2021. So that's good. I love how they're giving us that extra time, because everything's shut down.
Yeah.
Locationist, if you want to find signal, the Locationist not lab cache, but Locationist cache. Once again, December 31st of 2021. So
the other nice thing that I kind of find interesting about going to the end of 2021, I mean, it's a year later, but you could say it's not about the numbers. we're celebrating 20 years. It's a year late, but it's not about the date, right? It's just celebrating 20 years.
Well, in certain countries, they determine, when they're born, they're a year old. So hey, I don't know. So maybe it's different math. That's all it is. Different math.
Different math. New math.
New math. I mean, it's the difference between the way we learn to do our math and the way the kids are doing it with this new weird math that they're doing in school now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Common Core, that's what it's called, Common Core.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. I can't figure out how they do it. So, but as vloggers, so how are you coming up with new content while this has been going on, or do you have like a huge back stock of content?
I've still got a lot of things that are waiting to come out, so I've got to finish those up. Probably got, if I were to do one a week, there's probably another month or two to go. But, we're trying to throw in, like everybody's kind of doing it now, throwing in these live events, chat sessions, hangouts and stuff. Some people are putting together collaboration videos that you could do.
Right.
So, I mean, it's in a way, it's interesting because it makes you think outside the box, because
right.
I'm so used to doing just geocaching videos, going out and vlogging stuff, doing a cache, but then now you can't do that as much. So,
yeah, because I mean, I know I've seen a lot more live streams doing that. There's been a lot more community collaborations. I know we're both part of the GCNW, and we see in our work group, we see different collaborations coming up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really cool seeing those. Hailmeister saying so many live streams right now going on. I know you're doing quite a bit. I haven't really done any live streams. It doesn't really fit for what I usually do. I've thought about doing one, but I don't think anybody would want to sit there and watch me build a gadget for about 8 hours straight.
You'd probably be surprised. I mean, probably have at least a few people. When I was I'm still doing it, but when I do the Wednesday Whittles,
right.
I say at the beginning, I don't expect to have a whole lot of people for the entire time. You can pop in, out whenever you want, but it's here if you want to watch. So if you do a live stream, that's kind of the whole thing, right? Like, you're not doing it to have a huge crowd watch.
Yeah, so Force Awakens, this would be a great time for a Whittle Wednesdays.
Yeah, yes, it would.
So, for me, since for my channel Behind the Cache, I always like going and talking to the cache owners. Well, of course, social distancing can't really do that. I've thought about doing a couple of StreamYards and talking to people, but I really want to see those caches out there in person. So I'd already wanted this year to build more caches. So it just kind of, some aspects just really forced me out there. The only problem is that on Tuesday, when I'm in my garage taping, that's for Thursday. That's my release date. So that's why a lot of times I split mine up in a couple days, a couple weeks when I build, because I didn't get finished or I ran into a snag or something like that, and just kind of stretching out. And so, yeah, I usually lose some sleep between it goes out, just because I'm right up against the deadline.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be crazy, especially this week. I'm trying something a little bit different. So here's a little tip of a preview of what's going on this week's Behind the Cache.
Scoop.
And of course, I haven't even built it yet. So I drew up the designs the other day, which is, for me, it's actually unusual. I know I did a video and I drew up designs before, but usually it's all fly by the seat of my pants when I'm building stuff. But do you know what a cryptex is?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So I've built a cryptex before, but this time I wanted to build something that's going to go into an ammo cam, because it seems like people from my viewers that I've seen, they're really liking the ammo cam gadgets. So what I'm going to be creating is actually a codex box. So it's like a cryptex, but it's in a box form, and you have to do different slides. Okay. So it's a little bit different. I've got the designs.
More complicated, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing it out of wood, which automatically makes it a little bit more difficult. Yeah. Instead of it spinning, the block slide. So I've gotten pictures. I drew up my designs. I was hoping for a new routing bit to come in, but it was supposed to be in on Friday, and I got a message that there was something wrong with the package, and they sent it back. So I'm having to rethink how I'm going to do the part of the slide without that. But that's part of doing these puzzles, is trying to figure out that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of where, for my channel, it's kind of gone that direction, doing more of the teaching and kind of just showing ideas of how to maybe do some different caches and aspects.
And it's still behind the cache. Like you're showing what it's like to build gadget caches or just like a cache box or something like that. It's the meta level of cache ownership.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you could interview people to find out what they do behind their cache, or you do it yourself and people can see what's also behind the cache. So it still works.
So Ryan, the bit that I was hoping to come in was a new tongue and groove bit. So that's what I do. I know how to do it without it, but I was going to save a lot of time if I had the tongue and groove bit itself. So that was the bits that I was waiting on. So that's not there, but it'll just take a little bit more time. So hey, I can get more content out of it, right? So
just break your videos apart. If you don't get something done, just make like a 2-minute video. It's like, oh, come back next time.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, that's about what I did on this last one. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. That, and I've seen a lot of people still going out and caching. I mean, like Hailmeister and Cache Canada, they've gone out and done some different videos out there, and that's awesome. I'm so happy that they're able to go out and do those videos. One thing that I really like is all the different vloggers. None of us do the same type of content, it seems like.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of vloggers in here tonight. Their Gas Station Tuna's in here.
Yeah, it was great to see him get another video. Woohoo!
Yeah, that was great. It was really good. I see, just finding a way, time to sharpen those chisels. Yeah, I have a few chisels. I don't generally like using them, but I like power tools. I'm kind of like Tim Allen from Toolman Taylor, like those power tools.
Yeah, and that question hashtag thing that went around, the Get to Know Me challenge. One of the questions was, what's one skill you would love to have during this time when you can't go caching, or some wording like that. And I said, hands-on construction, building, and I wish I could do that, but I'm not handy. I don't have the tools. I don't have the space. I don't have anything to be able to do that kind of stuff. I mean, Whittle Wednesday is about the closest that I get.
Yeah, and let me tell you, in I've watched those Whittle Wednesdays, and those are really cool. I really liked how you're doing the burning and everything on those. It's fascinating to watch. Have you done a time lapse of that?
I haven't put a time lapse together of that, no, because there were a number of different camera angles and things moving around, so I wasn't focusing on keeping it in one spot. It's a little harder. Like, you'd have to have a clamp or something to make sure it's in one spot. Otherwise, you start getting like shifting around real quick, and it's hard to watch.
Right. And that kind of leads into for us vloggers talking about the equipment that we use. So what do you usually use when you're doing your videos, Jeff?
To start off, it was iPhone video.
Okay, right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And everybody kind of has that GorillaPod tripod, because you can put it together and hold it like a handle, or you can stretch it out and then attach it everywhere. And it's really great for lightweight cameras like the phone, because it can take the weight. And I was doing all the editing on desktop. Now, I mean, everybody kind of changes and improves or tries different things over time. So now I have a full-out camera. I wanted to get one that was good for vloggers, so I made sure to check out the most recent, most highly rated, and so I picked up a Canon. I was glad it was a Canon.
Yes.
I'm a Canon guy.
Something like this.
It is almost.
Well, you got the M50, right?
The M50, yep.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yep. But I don't have as big a microphone as you do.
Oh, you got the mini. You got the mini one?
This
is the
I have a dead cat, but so I can attach it on here. But I've taken it off because this microphone is actually fairly decent for recording.
Okay.
So sometimes I use that instead of the onboard camera microphone. But that's my setup now. Picked up a wide angle lens, so I've got a better self kind of vlogging angle.
Right.
The worst thing is when you don't have the wide angle and your face fills up the entire frame.
Yeah. So Geocaching Adam uses a GoPro Hero 5, Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, and a Mavic Mini. Yeah, those are all really great, great cameras. Now, the Canon M50. The reason why I like it, of course, it's really light. Of course, it has that flip out screen that I really like as well, and it does
The
have a great.
The one downside to that flip out screen, as I'm sure you probably know, there is the microphone port here. You pull this thing out, plug your microphone in. Where is it? Here you go. Plug the microphone into the microphone port.
Yep, it's kind of a little bit of
great. Now I want to see myself. The screen doesn't turn because the microphone plug is in the way.
Right.
And that was one of the huge complaints about this particular model. But you can get around it by plugging in it after you pull out the screen.
Yeah. Well, I've learned that if I don't pull it all the way out, I can just flip it over halfway and then come in.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, the big other downside on this is that this thing eats batteries like nobody's business.
I've got 3.
I have 5. And invariably, because this has actually become one of my go-to cameras. I have other cameras that I use for my normal job and everything. I have a big, nice Sony camera and other ones, but I've gotten to the point where I like shooting interviews with this, even for regular interviews. But I'll have this on my main shot, and then I've been using a GoPro 7 on my other shot, and that just kind of gives me some edit points on 2 different angles for when I'm actually doing some interviews. But then also when I'm doing my videos now, I'll do my main shots and everything off my Canon. But then I set up a time lapse with my GoPro, a wide shot time lapse, which just gives me some breakaways for all my videos there.
Yeah.
Okay, so where was it? I saw it. Somebody was talking about 3 batteries and a car charger. Yeah, all those different things. Sorry, guys, trying to follow the comments we're going through because a lot of vloggers commenting on their toys.
Yeah, I was saying, especially if you're on the road a lot, then having a USB-based battery charger is huge.
Yep.
And so if you've got the USB plug for the car, you can charge 2 batteries on the road. Yep. And so I had this on the road trips, and it's just so beneficial.
Yeah, that's what this is here. Yeah. And then just about whenever I get a camera, I'll get a ton of batteries to go with it, just because I know I'm going to run through them pretty fast. So when I started doing my channel, of course I had my other Sonys, but my first video of me going into the pipe, I wasn't going to take a $4,000 camera down through a sewer pipe. I had a GoPro 4 with me, and this is what I shot that on. So that was, then I kind of went from GoPro 4, then went up to the Canon, and then just kind of, as been going along, just picking up other cameras that I use for different things. And so,
and I think it's an important thing to say, because like, especially when you talk to people who've been doing videography and vlogging for so long, they're like, oh, I've got this and I've got that and this, and I'll pull out this when I'm doing that. Like all these different pieces of equipment, and they've gathered over the years all for some specific purpose. But you know, when it comes to vlogging and having a good channel with videos, you don't necessarily have to have all that equipment.
No, you don't.
You just have to have great content.
This camera, the camera on this, on my iPhone, is a 4K, which is better than some of the video cameras I used when I was working at TV stations. The content is really great on this. Now, what I do suggest is an external microphone, because the microphones on these aren't that's great. That's if you're
the wind is the biggest issue.
Yeah, the wind is a big thing, and I have a smaller version of this Rode, like I think it's the same one you have, the Rode Mic Mini that I use. That can go have the attachments for my phone, or I'll attach it to the GoPro as well. Now then, there's the GoPro 8 has the vlogging kit that comes with it, which is really, really great as well. That's coming out. So that's another aspect of it too.
Yeah, and I guess you could say one of the vlogger dilemmas is going out and wanting to vlog something and not having the right equipment.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, like going into, like you said, going into a culvert. I'm not going to take my big expensive camera into there.
No.
But, you know, do you have something cheap? And most of it, well, because I used to do a lot of photography before I was doing vlogging, and I had a DSLR. It was stolen many, many years ago, but I took that into a cave. I mean, I took it places that people would be like, "Are you crazy? Why would you take it there?"
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're extra careful with it, then you have the added flexibility and quality of a better camera. You just have to be much more careful.
So, sorry. Do we go into? Sorry, this is funny, Tom. It's what Best Buy and Amazon is for me. Sorry, I don't go into a hotel room looking at guns, but it'll be like I'll be looking on Amazon, or I'll be watching video influencers or different and seeing what different people use and everything. And so
that is why the M50 came up, because in looking for an affordable consumer level quality camera, there are quite a number of like top camera lists for 2019 and whatnot.
Right.
And like I think it was Geocaching Adam back there said he's on the line about the M50. There were like 2 or 3 different cameras that were all kind of rated similar, and it all really just came down to which brand you prefer the most.
Right.
And being a Canon person, the benefits of having Canon and a couple of the features that this one had that other ones didn't have was the draw for me. So I mean, it's not like one is absolutely better than everything else, but
right. And I'm seeing Gas Station Tuna says the iPhone gives him everything that he needs, and that's great. It does. And here's the thing: when I was teaching production classes and everything, it's not necessarily the gear that you have; it's how you use it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how you use it. Of course, your story, just like how you use it. A lot of times, your editing technique and all that is a big thing too. Yeah. Now, one thing that I do know with the Canon, I use when I'm outside, I always have a ND filter with me. Usually it's on the camera, so I can get the really nice, crispy shots. And if you don't know what an ND filter is, it's basically sunglasses for your camera. Mine's a variable filter. So as you can see it here, it's not necessarily polarized, but this one I can actually turn it and it can get darker depending on how bright it is outside. So I'll adjust this versus adjusting my aperture and my iris. I'll just adjust this.
The other benefit of that is it also makes it a little easier to do longer exposures because you're getting less light, so you have to do longer exposures so you get that flow. Like if you're doing waterfalls or streams and whatnot, it's a lot easier to get a well-exposed long exposure when there's less light coming in.
Right. Kuhn and Bud was asking me how much are those filters. This one here on Amazon's about $16. So it's not.
They're not that expensive.
No, they're not. I mean, you can always get something more expensive, but if you don't have to? So yeah, there's a lot of different things. You can get ND filters for if you're using GoPros, because with a GoPro, you can't iris anything down. It's pretty much set where it's going to be. One thing with the GoPro that you have to watch out for is the extreme wide angle. You can get that really weird fisheye look. Yeah. But you can go in and correct that if you want to.
And for me, that was one of the reasons why I went to go from a smartphone up to a camera with external lens, is because I always ranted about how I hated and I completely missed having an optical zoom.
Yeah.
Now there's like 1x and 2x on smartphones and whatnot with 2 different non-mechanical lenses, like static lenses. But to have that ability to zoom in and have that range, like my first DSLR was a 200 mil. Okay. I had a 200 mil lens on it, and I really do miss that.
Yeah,
you're really able to flatten out the distant subject, and you get different feels to the photos when you're doing that kind of.
Right. Now I do have, about a couple months ago when my car got broken into, I lost my other M50, and I was debating if I was going to get another one. I did, but instead of, I had a couple other microphones I had with it that I didn't need anymore. So instead of buying another microphone I ended up getting a different lens with this. I got a telephoto lens with it. Caching Dead was asking how much is the camera. I think I paid, my kit was about $800, and that's the lens, the microphone, and some other stuff. And I saw today happen, that I think there's $200 off on the kit right now, so you could probably get it for about $600 right now.
You got to watch for those sales, especially on
Amazon. Yeah. So they're really good. I really like this camera. Like I said, this is my second one because the first one got stolen, and then I replaced filters and did some other options on it too. Yeah. But one of the other things that I was looking at, we were talking about influencers and things. The person that I saw who was really recommending was Sean Cannell from Think Media Influencers, and Think Marketing Now. He's one of the ones that kind of, when I'm watching something on YouTube, because I do marketing stuff for my daytime job, that's what I listened to him, and that's one of the people that inspires me on a lot of different stuff that I do. And they recommended this camera, one of the best cameras for vlogging, as well. So, and I really like the depth of field on this camera. That's the other thing I really like about this camera.
Yeah, the one thing that I don't like about the M50 is that crop factor on the 4K. It's getting very technical.
Yeah.
But if you go to high resolution 4K video, it's like you lose half.
It's like 10%. It's like 10 or 15% of the image.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I had to get the wide angle lens, the super wide, the 11 mil, so that if I was doing 4K, it wasn't like zoomed into this part of my face. But for other people you watch, I pay attention to Peter McKinnon, who's another Canadian guy. Yeah, but he's a Canon boy as well. Right. And, he's a couple notches up the scale, but his passion for videography and photography is really contagious. Just his energy in the videos, especially with his near daily-ish kind of videos during the whole COVID thing. Right. He's doing pretty much everything alone now, but he loves going over his different gear and equipment and show. And I remember when he was just getting the new Canon, and he was like so super excited about it. He's fun to watch. What's up, everybody? Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched him a few times. It's pretty good. So, of course, one of the other people that influenced me big time is doing this is, of course, Joshua, the geocaching vlogger. Oh, yeah. I think just about anybody that does vlogs in geocaching, he's influenced them big time.
It's fun going back to his older videos and then seeing how he's progressed over the years.
It is.
Like his styles, even the video quality as he's changed cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, before I even got this, before I got my Canon, I was even asking him, what camera are you using? Because I was really liking the Christmas and the way everything looked on his. Sorry. See My Shells goes, the vlog father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he is.
Yeah. It's neat seeing him when he's doing his videos live as well. Like not live, but in person. Because at the Cincinnati Geo Woodstock 2 years ago, he was recording some videos at the event, pretty much at the vlogger booth. And yeah, I mean, he just had his little tripod and he set it up, and he had the vertical flip screen. And and you always see him, you see the vlogger from the angle of the camera. So now you can step to the side and you can see how, he's just a regular guy with this tiny little thing here. And
it is.
All the energy goes right into the camera.
It does.
It's cool to watch.
It was really fun watching him when of course, I was with him at we were Geo Woodstock this last year, and then when we were at Going Caching, that was doing all those, seeing that, and being with Josh in the escape room. That was a lot of fun, and we're shooting video in there and everything. That was a lot of fun. So
here's a vlogger dilemma. What do you do when you're with other vloggers and you're trying to all document the same thing, the same event, the same cache, or being in the same room?
It's hard.
Yeah. Do you like decide who's going to record and when, or do you all record at the same time?
I've seen that, and I know I've had people like, hey, other vloggers at different events, and like, hey, I'm doing this. I said, that's great. Do your thing. I said, for me, I kind of stick to talking to people, about individual caches, and then kind of doing the story behind the cache, not necessarily promoting the event. I guess kind of the one that I kind of did that promoting the event was when I did the GPS maze, but that was all about the maze and the story about the maze coming back. So that was, for me, I absolutely love that video. Of course, that one is probably my longest video. It's like 27 minutes. It was a documentary.
Yeah.
But that one just tells the story. And that's kind of what I've done. Even at Going Caching, I was like, no, I'm setting up some certain interviews with certain people, and that's what I'm going to do. The rest of the time, I'm having fun. I'm caching. I'm not really shooting anything. I had my camera with me, and I was out caching with Joshua and Jesse, and we're going all over the place. And I almost left it at a cache. I mean, here I'm leaving my Canon and my other piece of equipment. When I'm out doing my own talking, I use a gimbal because I know you have an Osmo as well. I have one for my phone as well. Because of my background in television broadcast, I have a hard time not having something on a tripod. And this is the closest I can have as I'm walking around with it. So my camera will be on a steady shot for me.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I miss is having that steady shot, because the camera this lens that I just picked up does have image stabilization, which is really helpful, because with the phone, the built-in stabilization was great, and then I got the gimbal, which added even more to it, and then I picked up the M50, and the lens didn't have image stabilization, optical stabilization. It was digital. Right. And I see that with some other videos as well that other people have put out, where the digital stabilization has this kind of quick, and then it stables, and then it kind of jerks around a little bit as it stabilizes to so. The digital, I'm not a huge fan of it, so the optical stabilization is much more beneficial.
I turned my digital stabilization off of mine. I don't ever use it because I don't want that part of it.
Yeah.
I
don't have a gimbal for this size of camera, that large, heavy one.
Well, that gimbal I think was only $400, and they have a new version of it now, and that's the Moza Aircross, and they have a Moza Aircross 2 now, which is a great. I love that gimbal. It's a lot of fun. There's some, of course, with any type of equipment, there's some little quirks with it anyways. So, and it's just figuring those little quirks out and learning how to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're editing, what are you using when you're editing now?
Here we go. Flat Jesse's here.
Jesse's over there. Right.
So actually, now that I put that out, that's a good question. I picked up an app called LumaFusion for iOS, and that has made a big difference in speed of not of quality. There's not as much stuff you can do, but there is that element of now using your finger, being able to touch and then slide and do quick changes and edits and stuff. And it's about the most powerful iOS app, non-desktop app that for video editing that I've ever found, and it's still being updated. I think the next major version is on its way shortly, but there are some things missing from it, like video stabilization would be a huge benefit. Certain things that we kind of take for granted on desktop editors.
Right.
And a lot of people have been commenting and suggesting it for a long time, but the way it is now, I'm still picking up little tricks and special effects and playing around with stuff, as you can see in the Killer Rabbit of Carbanag Cave. There's a little bit of effect in there that I tried out, and it seemed to work pretty well. Still kind of limited, but it worked. I'm doing everything on the iPad now. And it's funny because it's not a hugely expensive application.
Right.
It's not like you're paying $200 for a video editor. This thing, I think this app was, I think it was $15 or $20. I'll have to check it out again, but that's my editor.
Yeah, I see a lot of people iMovie. I've used iMovie.
Yeah, I started out with iMovie when I was doing it on iPhone. Yeah.
See, my Shell's just got Final Cut Pro. I used to be a huge Final Cut Pro editor. Final Cut Pro 7, using from After Effects and everything, and when I was working at television stations. So that was, being an editor actually is more of my background, a TV editor, video broadcast editor, doing that. So I was working Final Cut Pro for day in, day out. But then when I end up starting my own business, I couldn't afford to get the Mac and everything with everything. So I ended up switching over to Premiere, which was the closest thing. And I kind of had issues with Final Cut when they switched over to X from 7, because it kind of went really almost to iMovie for me.
Oh, yeah.
And so that kind of was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I kind of like where they've kind of moved it to now. But I haven't gotten back into it, because I use the entire Adobe suite now from After Effects, Illustrator, Premiere, all of it. So I use just about all of it. I have the entire suite, so I use different parts in and out of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I use. And once again, it's not the equipment or the programs that you use, and it's how you use it.
Exactly. Yeah. When I started, it was Sony Vegas was the desktop editor that I used, and I used that for the longest time. And then I wanted to go on road trips, and if I wanted to go on a road trip and get videos out, I couldn't really edit on the desktops and on laptop. So that's when I started looking into iMovie. And you'll notice, I think, with the first time I used it was on the Geo Woodstock road trip. So that series of like 25 short videos, most of those I think were done on iMovie. You can tell when somebody's using iMovie. There's some standard that everybody uses, and so those shorts were done on the road with iMovie. And it was after that, it was still kind of balanced between that and Vegas on desktop.
Right.
When I picked up LumaFusion, which is $30 Canadian. So I don't know how that changes to US. Probably
I don't either.
But so the nice thing about that was it worked on iPhone, which is crazy. So you have this really professional editing smartphone video editor, which can do 4K, and it's really easy to use with tons of special effects and stuff. And that was just on iPhone. And the thing I didn't like about that was it's the tiny real estate. It's just this tiny screen. You still do so much with it, but it's just so tight. And so that was what pushed me into getting the iPad, so that I had a larger screen, and that application is much more well designed for a tablet-sized screen. Right.
I have an issue with real estate. I have a hard time editing on anything small. I think I might swing my camera around just so you can kind of see my real estate that I look at all the time. Of course, hey, there's my Star Wars wall. But okay, so I have two 32-inch screens, and then I have a 42 up here. So I mean, real estate for me, I have to have multiple screens to edit for me. That's just the way I am. So I spread everything out. And of course, I do design websites too. So I'll have one website on one side and then content that I'm pulling back and forth, doing different stuff. So that's just kind of, it's hard for me to edit on my phone, even though I have apps that I can edit on here, because I know you have Adobe Rush that you can put on there now, and you can transfer what you're doing on your phone directly into Final Cut, and right into a Premiere, which is really great.
So the connectivity is a huge factor. Because same thing when I'm editing now. If I do phone video with the phone and video with the camera, I've got to get them all onto the pad, and then I archive them on external drives off PC, that sort of thing. So like you can do it Bluetooth, wirelessly transferring. You can have the little dongle. So with the camera, stick the SD card in here, and then you can stick that into your pad and then transfer. This application as well connects to the Wi-Fi and senses other computers, so you can import stuff directly from other drives on other computers into the application. So that kind of flexibility is a huge benefit, and that's not expensive. That's just a feature of an application that you get. So that's not like you're buying into all that necessarily. It's good to have.
It is. And I saw somebody post that a GoPro, if you have a GoPro has their own editing software as well, that you can kind of do some edits on there as well. And I've used that early on when I was playing around with GoPro. I kind of play with a lot of different things just because I do some consulting with some other people on equipment and things. And depending on where they're at, kind of give them what they can use. So now, what about your music beds? Where do you get your music for your videos?
Yeah. So yeah, when I started, I was looking for royalty-free music, and that's always a questionable thing because you see people like some people say, "Oh yeah, I get it from here, no problems," but other people say that's a bad source. They don't treat their artists fairly, or they don't pay them, or they've had problems with copyright. And then you got issues with if the property owner or the owner of the copyright of an artist's work changes, then suddenly they can change the copyright, and then you get tagged for something that was free before but not now. And all. So I had to look into all of that beforehand. But generally, I was just getting it from the YouTube audio library.
Okay.
There's a couple of channels on YouTube that also regularly put out and artists that put out music. Even with no, what was that other the other website for music and sound? Well, right now, primarily for most of the music that you don't have to give credit for, I get through Epidemic Music or
Okay.
Epidemic Sound,
Yeah.
and because they have music and sound, which is huge, and a very large library, and I haven't had any problem with them yet. So,
Okay.
yeah, Epidemic
I
Sound.
use it's called Motion Array, and they have a lot of plugins that for Final Cut. So those that are editing and you want to get like new transitions, and you don't have a lot of times you don't even have to have plugins.
Mhm.
But in Motion Array, they have stock video, stock pictures. They have music, and they also have a lot of the like templates and different aspects that you can lay in to switch out your shots and everything. And I absolutely love that. I mean, I use it for my day job, everything, just grabbing different things to be able to put stuff together pretty quick for social media posts and things that I do on other things. And I really like Motion Array. Of course, it is an application based or subscription based, but it's not really that much. I think it's like $20 and you get to use whatever you want. And to me, that's a no brainer on $20 for all that music. And they're constantly adding new stuff to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I use. I can get a lot of my transitions that I do right off of there as well.
Yeah.
So,
and people also mentioned a source like Ben Sound, which, when I first started out, it was that sort of thing. Google, where can I get good music? And then everybody kind of goes to those first few very popular sources, but they don't necessarily have a huge selection, or they're pay, but they have a free selection, which is really small. And so that was kind of what I did when I started. I went there and I picked up a few of these tracks that were really cool, and I used them. And my first few videos, you'll notice that I have an intro, and I thought I'm going to use a track, and it's going to be my channel theme. It's going to be great, and I used that for the longest time. And I think maybe heard one or two other people use that same track somewhere, and I was like, I know that track. That's my track.
Yeah.
But I stopped doing that after a while. But I love it now when you can pick out. I know that track from that source because I used that in these videos way back here.
Right.
Yeah. So finding a place that has a wide variety or a cycling collection of media is very helpful, because then it's not like you're not going to be flagging people's memories of, hey, somebody else used that track. That's not original. And stuff. It's going to be a lot rarer that ever happens.
All right. So let's get back to kind of some geocaching related stuff. So we'll get out of gear and stuff like that. Yeah. But Neil, one of our other vloggers, asked, and this is something I think you and I would both like to know, for viewers, what type of videos would they like us to see from us while we're in this dilemma? And that's the big thing that we're trying to figure out. We're trying to come up with new content, and it's hard for us to think of what to come up with a lot of times. I know it is for me. Because I'm trying to come up with some stuff for my kids' channel, the Nano Kids. What are they going to put out? So that's something that we'd like to know. What is some videos that you guys would like to know? And hey, comment in the chat, leave a comment in the stream, wherever, and let us know what kind of videos that you would like to see. Because I know it is hard to come up with content when you can't go anywhere.
Yep. That's why you get people on your show and you chat with them for an hour.
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, I had plans. I mean, let's see here. Last month was supposed to have been really busy. Beginning of the month, I was supposed to be at the Jackson County Agricultural Geo Trail kickoff, doing the GPS maze there, and being there for the event and getting a whole bunch of gadget caches. There was going to be a whole bunch of content.
Mhm.
Then we had Mingo Madness, where I should have been there this week.
Yep.
Had that, and of course that got canceled.
Yep.
Then I was going to be getting some bunch of batch videos at that point.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be shooting on Tuesday and putting out a video on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then of course everything that was going on in Pacific Northwest. So now a lot of us are scrambling to find what content, and it's hard to always come up with content. And that's why I always like having people feed me what would they like to see.
Yeah. And so road trips are really good for that because in a matter of 1 or 2 weeks, you can visit so many places, you can talk to so many people, find so many caches, and you can stack up months of video footage and ideas to put out. So when we can't do road trips, what do you do? Like the whole Mingo Madness thing, that, like you said, that was going to be, at least for me, I had about a week and a half road trip planned for that.
Right.
And as soon the day that it would have left, I'm like, okay, I'd be here right now. Halfway through, I'm like, oh man, I'd be right here right now, and it'd be so awesome. And oh no, but it's got to wait.
I know. So yeah, here's a very good question, Tom. What do you do to support your hobby, day job, night job, third job, etc.? So, for me personally, I actually kind of have two jobs. One, I work at a nonprofit. I work for Adult and Teen Challenge, and I am the director of communications. So I do a lot of their social media posts and telling the story of the guys that are in the program. If you don't know what Adult and Teen Challenge is, it's for those guys that have struggled. For ours is a male facility, but they have struggled with substance abuse, from alcohol to drugs to other life debilitating addictions. And so I work with tell their story of how to help stay clean and stay clean, get clean and stay clean, kind of thing. And so that's what I do there. But then I also have my own production business. So I do editing on the side. I do websites, set up people for YouTube, and that aspect of it. So that's what I do to support my hobby of geocaching. And I've kind of combined my love of video and geocaching together, and now even added my woodworking into it as well. But that's what I do. Great question, Tom. What about you, Jeff? What do you do to help support your geocaching hobby / addiction?
I program the internet. Web application development. It's not interesting. I work for a company that does taxes and tracking transponders and whatnot for companies across North America. And so when I started, we built an intranet system, I built an intranet system for a lot of our customers to manage their own information and their own data, their trucks and trailers and all that stuff, so that they didn't have to send us all that information, like paperwork and documents and everything, to have data entry people do that all themselves. So we have made an intranet system to mimic a lot of that process so that they could do it themselves and take a lot of that busy work off of our hands and make it a lot easier in general for everybody.
Right.
So it's not a huge company, but in IT, there's basically me and my coworker / boss, and he does more of the in-house application programming, and I do the web-based version of a lot of that stuff. So
right.
That's pretty much it. Oh, Derek, I think we lost Derek. Ooh, he is the host. I can't do anything. Come back, Derek. Come back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, good.
I could still hear you. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, Houston Dave says, hey, Texas is open now, so we can go caching there. We open pretty much here in Tennessee tomorrow at 25%. So a lot of the stuff that I do normally at work and everything like that starts opening back. No, I don't work at a Memphis TV station. Not here anymore. I never worked at a TV station here in Memphis, Coon and Bud. Sorry, he was asking the question. I did in South Carolina. I worked at a TV station there in South Carolina, but not here. So, but yeah, so I would love to go down to Texas. That was back to Texas and do some caching. Both of my older boys live in Texas right now. One's just right outside of Fort Worth, and the other one's at Fort Sam Houston. So he's finishing up his schooling down there for the Army. So love to go down there and do some of those caches down there. So, all right. So when this is all out and done, what are your target caches that you're going to go for, that you're highlighting?
When is this all done, or what? Looking to what's coming up?
Well, any of it. I mean, when it's all done. Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm up until this point. Yeah. What's your bucket list? So say when everything opens back up and you can get out of Canada, let's say that. what would be on your list?
Well, the first thing obviously would be the events that are specifically coming up. I mean, we keep talking about it, but there's Mingo Madness, there's Going Caching, and there's Midwest Geobash in July, which is the next one on the list, actually. That one will all depend on whether the border is open and they can get to the U.S. Even if they are running, then that's the big question. But I mean that's pretty much my upcoming itinerary is focused on whatever events that I can get to. Because if it's a road trip, I'm gonna plan on finding cool, awesome caches, having great experiences, and hoping to share them as best as I can. Because I'm not so much about traveling around local and just finding all the local cool, neat caches. Because the good ones are so far. I mean, not the good ones. The amazingly awesome vloggable ones are typically really far away, so they take planning and road trip time.
So, I don't know. I've never been to Canada. That was my trip this summer. I was going to Canada. I was going to see why nobody wants to leave Canada. That's why I was going to find that out. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. There are, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some really great caches in Ontario, in Canada, obviously. I know 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half or so, I started that a 2 video series, Earth Above and Earth Below. And Earth Above was the Eagles Walk, or Eagles Nest Caverns Walk, which was spectacular, 5.5. And the Earth Below was all ready to go as a video or as an experience. And I had done that and taken footage, but in trying to organize the footage, I realized that the quality was awful. I used my action cam attached to my forehead,
right,
and bouncing, and it wasn't on angle. The sound was really awful. It's just I cannot use that. So that's a part 2 that has to come up, and that's just that's in like a cave system, a really cool geocache in southern Ontario, which is just a matter of maybe 2 hours drive away. So
wow.
I've got to get up there once the weather and ice and all that stuff is melted, and it should be fine by now, I think. But it's that it's also a little more dangerous. You don't want to take the risk necessarily because of all the COVID stuff and the emergency people and all that. So
yeah,
we'll see when
understand.
But
yeah, I know for me, some of the plans that I have. This month, I'm just about finishing up my 366 month challenge, or year challenge, day challenge. I'll finish up all of them except for 2. One will be in October and the other one in August. When we're moving here to Tennessee, I forgot to get a couple caches on certain days when we were packing. It was probably unloading a truck or loading a truck, and that all got kind of crazy. So those there. This year I'm about 75 away from my 1,000, and I already have the cache picked out for that. There's one here called Ironside. It has high favorite point cache. Some other ones I want to go hit some more power trails. My wife Jess had set a goal that we're going to try and do this, and of course this gives us a little bit more time now for the actual event at in Seattle. For the 20th anniversary, we wanted to have our 2020 caches, and that would be the actual event. hey, I got another year to get another 1,020 caches. So that'll be good. But we want to hit some power trails in this area.
Do you have a lot of power trails in your area, though?
We actually do. There's actually quite a few. There's a in Jackson here which is about 45 minutes to an hour away. There are a ton of challenge caches, and there's like a trail on those. Then there's some that are going from. There's one that starts just on a regular. It's a 4-lane road, and there's one on each side of the road about every 0.2 of a mile, because there'll be one on one side. Then you can, when you're driving back the other way, you can hit the other one.
Yeah, that's smart.
So they got them back and zigzagging all the way across. Yep. Then there's some going up to where we have another campus for my day job up in Clarksville. So then there's a power trail going that way. And usually the few times that I've gone that direction, I'm having to get up there for an event and shoot the event and get back. So I haven't been able to really spend time and hit the trail, but Jess and the kids all want to go get some power trails once this is all done, and just kind of road trip doing it that way.
Well, so, if you ever come up to Southern Ontario, there's tons on there, because there's all these rural roadsides. So like gravel, dirt roads, so easy, barely any traffic, and you can just pull off, and it's just boom, 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 everywhere.
Yeah, I really want to hit some of those. I'm usually not a numbers person, but I'm ready to get some.
Yeah, they're not spectacular.
No,
there's nothing spectacular with those. Those ones really are just about the numbers.
Plus it also helps give Jess a little bit more time to recover. For those, she's actually having a total hip replacement later this month. So it was kind of good. Some of these events got canceled because she was going to be going out. She's going to have a replaced hip. So those that are praying, keep her in her thoughts. That's this later this month. So, but it should be really, really good actually once it's done. So.
Yeah, and what Neil just said, numbers are to be done with a group of friends. I was just about to say, it's like, even if you're doing power trails and it's just about the numbers, you can still have an amazing experience because you're with people, you have fun doing it, and you can build up memories just because of that, being on the road with people.
Yeah.
As long as everybody's in the same mindset. You could go and do the ET power trail.
I was just thinking of that.
When we did it in 3 days, it was 2,400 caches, and it was 4 of us. And if I always tell people, if you're going to do something like that, everybody has to be there on the same level, the same mindset, with the same amount of desire. Because if you're in a group of 4 people, you're in the desert, and you're doing basically sun up to sundown and longer, cache after cache after cache after cache. If one person is like, I'm done, I don't want to be here, I want to go,
it's done.
You're done. So, but you have such amazing experiences.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, before you even said ET, I said, hey, what if we could do because I'm seeing everybody wants to do road trips. What if we did an ET road trip? That would be all as vloggers, and just be some of the funniest. We could do like a huge series of whole bunch of crossovers during that time frame. That'd be funny.
That would be tiring.
It would be very.
You probably wouldn't get through a 10th of the caches.
Well, we do run and gun. So, some events. What are some of the? Okay, so you mentioned your event in July, Geocache. What are some other events that you're looking forward to going to that are coming up?
Most likely still on would be the Lennox and Addington, the L&A Mega, which is like 3 hours, I think, from here. It's on the border, the Canadian border, southeast Ontario, along the St. Lawrence. They do an annual mega event, so that one's coming up, and there's no border crossing for that. So if it's on, it should be good to go. I know Cache Canada is going to be there as well, and David's Geocaching Adventures, and probably Sim Rebel and a couple and whatnot. So there'll be a bunch of vloggers there, and I don't think in 2020 there was much else that I had on the to-do list that hasn't been canceled or postponed. Yeah, IB geocaching. Pete just asked, is LNA still happening? We haven't heard anything yet, so as far as we know, no reason to assume it's not.
Yeah.
But always listening for news.
Yeah. So I was looking at this other one, Neil Moore. If we were doing the ET as all the vloggers, we shoot like a reality TV show. I've had friends that worked on those There's so much footage that's recorded on those that's never ever used.
Do it like a Survivor. Kick people out.
In fact, that's what I was thinking of. I had a friend that was a tape runner for Survivor, and he was having to bring the different tapes for their editing. And you know how, of course, in Survivor they're like starving, and all this. The camera guys, the camera would pan off, and there's a camera guy sitting there eating a candy bar in front of these people.
Yeah,
I mean, it was brutal watching some of the edit stuff that they were doing to them as they're out there. So for me, probably the first one coming up is going to be September 6th, which is the Jackson County Agritism Geo Trail kickoff. They've moved it to then, so I'm gonna be going out there, and there's going to, of course, be the GPS maze there as well. Mm-hmm. The following weekend is Mingo Madness. Are you going to make it back to Mingo?
All depends on the border. If the border is open, I'm going. If there's not like a 2-week quarantine.
Right.
If there's like a 2-week quarantine, there's no point. But if I can go and freely travel in the U.S., then I'm definitely doing that road trip. And I've got a friend or two who are wanting to come along as well. And I've got huge targets, lots of plans for that, as long as it all works out.
Okay. So that Mingo Madness, that's September 12th. Then, of course, Going Caching is going to be October 3rd. So there's another one. So that month is going to be crazy. But that's basically all the events that we're going to be doing this summer. And so now I've had to push everything back to there. And then, of course, we are still planning to be in at HQ and Geo Woodstock in 2021. Nice. That's August 21st and the 29th of August of 2021. So we're still planning on that because my wife's family's from that side. So yeah, Houston Dave, can I do some more some Adventure Lab videos? I will. Sorry, who's asked? I will once I can get out and see some more Adventure Labs. I know you got one. I'd love to come to yours, Houston Dave. And then there's supposed to be a couple more coming up here in Memphis that I've heard about. One's going to be on Martin Luther King, the last few days of Martin Luther King's life. So that I'm looking forward to that one. So I'll talk to and I know who the owner of that one. So that would be a good one for once I get behind the cache to actually talk to him about the story of that one. Mm-hmm. So that'll be really cool.
And IB Geocaching, he also just mentioned, a good question about what's going to happen with any events that are coming up, because even if everything is open, how many people are going to go? Because there's still going to be people who don't want to potentially expose themselves to what might still be out there if there's still a question. Even though you're allowed to go, is it still safe to go? That's the question. So would attendance be lower or maybe higher if an event is on and nobody's been to one for so long?
It's a very good question. I mean, it's what are you comfortable with? What are the rules? I mean, that's just the whole. Yeah, it's really crazy because I kind of thought about that too. So because could this be Going Caching, which is because of this?
Yeah.
What does that do? I mean, that's kind of there's some. I mean, I know there's been kind of some leeways with some things that have happened. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question.
And the last event that I was at before we got pretty much locked down on event size or group size was the Hides of March event, which there's a video for the caches for that one. And the numbers of attendees, will attends, started to drop off a week or two before the event started to happen because nobody wanted to potentially be there. And that was before the regulations about group sizes in a building. So that event snuck in there just while it was still allowed to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Houston Dave. Yeah. If you want to shoot your Adventure Lab, hey, we can maybe do like a video chat. We can talk about it. We could do that. That'd be a great content. So yeah, if you want to do that, I can do that with you. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of different things. Evidently, I froze again. I don't know. My kids may be on my internet and they're bogging it for me right now. Who knows? But yeah, that I would love to be able to get back out there and talking to cachers. That's what I really miss about this time, and that's what I wanted my whole channel to be, is really getting to talk to people and getting to hear those stories.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and I'm so much about traveling.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what our
it is quite the dilemma. But it kind of goes back, like, at least around Ontario. Ontario is huge, so I mean, there's certain regulations. We've got counties that are all mixed up and borders all over the place, and they might have different orders and health regulations in place. But generally speaking, we can still travel fairly distant and go caching. But getting the videos, I mean, that, like I said before, it kind of means that you have been trying to get out and get some caches a couple times a week or so, but I have traveled a little bit, but not really for vloggable content, just for getting caches and keeping active and stuff. So,
and that's same here. I mean, I've gone out and got a daily cache here and there. I was working on a 90-day challenge, which that about killed me. I don't know how you guys have done more than 90 days. That was brutal. About cashed out my local area on any of the fast caches. They're gone now. So all right, Dan, go ahead and send me an email. Yeah. Send us emails on ideas, what you guys want us to do. We're open for it. That's cool.
So I think I hope that maybe people will come up with other ideas for live streams, because I know Aussie geocacher Craig Michelle, he has been doing trivia live streams, so trivia games, geocaching related. Mm-hmm. And I've got something in the works to have a live demo playthrough of the new and updated Cache Me If You Can game, board game.
Yeah.
And ran through a test run with that with some people, and it worked out well. So it's just a matter of getting the equipment all set up to make it work well. And then that will be coming up. So that's kind of like a live chat hangout, but it's got a geocaching theme and something.
Right. And I know, like, Geocache Talk Network, Jesse and Gary, they've been doing a lot of different stuff. They did their game.
Yep.
GC World, they did that game night. They've done several other different events. I mean, if you're a patron, you can get into the book club. There's a whole bunch of different things that they have going on.
And the Gadget Talk podcast
Gadget Talk
is a great one for now as well, because it's all indoors and learning.
Yeah, and it's been really great. Bounce, and the guys have been doing a really great job on that. A lot of those gadgets. I mean, I sit in the garage with Curtis and we'll sit there and build it. And so I'm creating all these different gadgets and getting ready to get them out, because for my community event, I wanted to do 20 gadgets and 20 non-traditional caches and launch them at the event was my goal. This is kind of giving me the opportunity of making those gadgets. So when that's a free gadget basically for me to make on those nights that we do it. So it's been a lot of fun. But that's really good. I know this Tuesday night at 6:00, kind of give a little plug here real quick for the kids. We're going to try a live stream with the kids. I have no idea what's going to happen. Could be the Nano Kids are going to do a live stream. It could be an absolute train wreck. I don't know what it's going to be like. Because I mean, what they said in TV? There's two things that you can never predict: are kids and animals. And so, but they're going to be doing. They're going to be reading the stories that were submitted to them last month for their adventure challenge, and then they're going to. The winner's going to be chosen from those that they read, and then they're also going to announce this month's challenge, and that's going to be Tuesday, 6:00 Central on their channel. The Nano Kids will stream it through StreamYard right to the YouTube for them. But that's going to be interesting. Curtis was really excited about it when I was kind of talking to him about it tonight. So that's going to be be fun. And then what's here? What else is coming up? May 5th. This Tuesday there's a geocache. They're doing a geocache talk on Tuesdays. Next Sunday, hide an evil hide. Ooh. I found some of those recently. I don't like them.
Kids can be pretty evil.
Yeah, well, not just kids, but just those evil nanos in the woods and those aspects. I found some really weird nanos, and I'm not much on evil hides. Those are the ones that I kind of like. I don't like those. So there's a lot of different stuff coming up. The 17th, that show's still TBD. Hey, that's a great show. Many people do those TBD shows. So a lot of different stuff that's coming up. So, all right, Jeff, to kind of recap tonight, what would you say?
I would say the vloggers, we do have a dilemma, but we're making do with what we can do, and hopefully continue to provide content that's inspiring and entertaining. And we love to hear from viewers, from subscribers, from you guys, from the community, because that helps us know what's doing well and what's not doing so well.
Right.
And because we have the ability and the desire to put this stuff out for everybody. So the better we can do it, the better for everybody.
Yeah. And I want to kind of piggyback on that as well. Yeah, we love what we do, and what we need some ideas, especially at this time. What do you guys want to see? Is there anything of the game that you want to learn more about that we might be able to help with? I know I kind of like doing the teaching and kind of the tutorial aspect of it. So if there's something that you want me to look at, let's do that. If geocaching 101 tips or anything like that, send the ideas our way, and let's see what we can do.
I've kind of struggled with that a little bit as well. Like, how much do you focus content towards beginners versus the more advanced stuff, or things that might be a little too far forward for new people? And how do you incorporate beginner information in your content without being so obvious, right? Like, if your content is all advanced, they might not care about the beginner information, right? But if you've got beginners who are really interested in this stuff, they might need that information. So that's right. Sometimes it's good to know what's relevant.
Right now I've seen a bunch of new cachers coming out, and that so it may be time to do some new geocaching 101 tips. I don't know. That's just an idea out there. So maybe that's something that we can do. But hey, Jeff, so if anybody wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Instagram. I'm on Instagram as the Bruce Zero. There's also a Cache the Line Instagram, but I just have that for presence. That forwards you over to the Bruce Zero. Okay. Twitter, Cache the Line, and on Facebook, Cache the Line.
Okay. And if you want to get hold of me, of course, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of it is /. Oh, you're on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah, I haven't put anything out for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, but anything for me / Behind the Cache to get to me, or if you want to email me, it's Derek, DEREK @behindthecache.com. So that's
or the Bruce @cachetheline.net.
Okay, so those are the ways that you can get in contact with us. Love to hear from you. Just kind of let us know, check in with us, and we'd love to hear how you guys are doing and how you guys are coping. So hopefully looks like there's starting to become a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel here. This thing's starting to open up. But just be careful when you guys go out there.
Yeah.
So, but have fun, be safe. So, all right. And we're getting Flat Jesse back up. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and close this out. And thanks again for watching us tonight. And Gary and Jesse will be back this Tuesday night for Tuesdays with Geocache Talk. So,
yep.
All right, guys. We'll talk to y'all later.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight, as well as our new format. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.
And excellent adventuring.
And excellent adventuring. And only if you're able to and you're safe to go caching.
Yes.
All right, guys. Good night.
Later.